I'll introduce you and then ask you to introduce yourself and a little bit more. Most of the early mystics in the Mystic Society know you as sister friend and mentor and amazing woman leader and business leader, but some of the newer mystics maybe haven't seen quite so much of your work. So I want to make sure that we give them a full picture of the work that you do in the world and also point them to where they can find you online and become part of your Facebook community and all of that as well. I will do a coming together and a oneness of mind. But as I mentioned, my own life force energy is really low today. So I'm going to probably do it pretty short and sweet. And
I'll bring it for you.
I can feel it. I can totally feel it. And then, of course, we are recording. So that will give us the ability to share this with Mystic Society in the portal and also share the links with the registered participants as well. So we can go ahead and get started. I just want to thank you for being here. You just mentioned this is your first day back from the swing of summer. This is our sweet sister friend, Celia Wallace. Celia and I have been on quite a journey together. I just heard an echo. Are you hearing an echo? See if I can make that go away. There we go. We have been, I'm trying to think back, Celia, I want to say we're coming up on almost 2 years, a year, 3/4 about, from a point in my business life where I was actually at quite a low point. I was having really deep and extended pause, really trying to take in the cues from the universe in terms of what I was meant to be doing, exactly how I was best able to use my skills and my voice and my gifts. I was feeling a little bit just in question about what I was here to do, because I had invested quite a lot of time and money in the wellness side of my business and I wasn't quite seeing the traction from the universe. And the first time we spoke, when I responded to a call to action for the Superfly program, I think I felt very surrendered. I was just kind of saying, I really need someone with a brilliant mind, an amazing eye, an intuitive gift to help me see what I can't see for myself. And although that's a lot of the work that I do in the world ourselves, I'm sure everyone can relate. Sometimes we have blinders around ourselves. And so coming into your presence was a tremendous gift. It was during the time that we were working together that the Mystic Society really started to form in its first incarnation, which was the Mystic Mastermind. You and I journeyed through that mystic journey, and in the process, our connection became a relationship that I just can't imagine navigating not only my business life, but my personal life without. So you really, truly have become a soul sister on a powerful and foundational level for me. So I just want to thank you again so much for all of that influence. Without you, we would not be here today, literally. Wow. And I would love to hand it over to you to introduce yourself and your work in the world.
Sure. I know your routine. Are we bringing our minds together first or after my intro?
I think since I'm kind of loading, I'm going to let people trickle in while you begin to introduce, and then we'll bring our minds together.
Okay. Well, hey, everybody. I'm so happy to be here with you. I can see lots of your names who I know well, and some of you I don't know. And just a big sigh, exhale of excitement. I am, like I told Lindsay today, it's my first day back to doing my business, which I love, but I've been with the kids all summer and working sort of part-time, quarter-time, a little bit of off time. And so today's my first day back, but just so happy to be here with all of you guys. Yay, thank you for having me. And so a lot of what we're going to talk about today, I know will be familiar to some of you guys. And I just really believe that we all have to hear things sometimes over and over and over again to have that light bulb moment that, creates that epiphany or creates that, ignition within us, that we have some breakthrough moments. So sometimes, things that we think are simple or things that we think, I already knew that. But sometimes it's the messenger, it's is, how it comes through, how it's channeled. And so hopefully today, my goal would be for each and every person listening in to have some sort of like aha moment, or like, shift in perspective. I think that's one of the things that I have a gift for. And yeah, so primarily I work with aspiring or emerging soulful and spiritual female entrepreneurs. And I help people all the way from the point of, people who feel stuck, who know that they have potential and know that they're created for greatness in their life, but they really don't know how and what they're supposed to do with it. So maybe they're working a 9-to-5, or maybe they're just starting off in business and they're trying to find their way, but they don't even quite know how to align their business with their soul purpose, or even what their soul purpose is. So I would say the first rung is like how to help people, as we would say, Lindsay, remember or uncover what their soul purpose is, not as much find it, but realize that it's been there all along. And then from there, it's really about helping people focus on all of the principles that are part of, soul business, which is, who are you meant to serve? How are you meant to serve? What are you going to create in the world that's going to be aligned with that vision? How are you going to practice what I call, my sort of spin on self-care, which is soul care. So it's like, how are you going to do your soulful practice, your spiritual practices to keep yourself aligned? And then ultimately, what is this baby that you're going to birth into the world in terms of, when you put all those pieces together, what does that alignment create for you in terms of at least your first version of something that you're super excited about, super passionate about, and you feel is a really authentic manifestation of who you are in the world, and put that out there. And so I'm sort of the guide, the cheerleader, the visionary that can like see through all of your life stories and journeys and help you figure out, what you're uniquely gifted in and what your path and purpose, like make meaning of it, that man's search for meaning. Yeah. So, and many more things. I'm married and I have 2 daughters and I have a beautiful community, and I just love this beautiful life that I get to live.
Well, it is beautiful, and you reflect it so beautifully, and you illuminate it for so many others. And so, again, I couldn't imagine a more perfect fit in terms of someone coming in today to talk about success and to talk about aligning to that soul purpose. But also towards the end, I really do want to get into the why and the values piece as well. And that is such an important piece to you, I know, in terms of really understanding the drivers behind why are we doing this to begin with anyway, and how does that serve not only myself but my community and the world and all of humanity as an extension. So as you said, I would love to take a moment now and bring our minds together, which is kind of a practice that we do to not only bring us into the moment and ground it into our bodies, but also to bring us into unity as a collective. So if everyone will join me, we're just going to take a moment. Maybe you can close your eyes. Feel free, if you're not already on mute, please feel free to go ahead and to mute yourself so that we can really be in the space of quiet together. Celia, I'm going to keep you unmuted. The first step to bringing oneness of mind is to really enter your body in a full and complete way and claim your own space and claim this moment in time exactly where you are on this planet, exactly on the journey that you're on, your unique you, which is different than anybody else that might be finding their way into this call, anybody else that might find their way into your day, into your week, into your email inbox. Anchoring you into your unique light and your unique self right here in the here and now, right where you're sitting here. I want to give gratitude and thanks to all the forces seen and unseen that brought us here together today in this way, the connective energies that allow us to hear each other and to see each other, the inward energies that allowed you to honor and listen to a call to be here and to be in Celia's light and to possibly even listen to the recording later if you aren't with us live. But there is a reason that you're finding yourself in this conversation today. And so I give gratitude and thanks to that inward direction and that call that you honored and heard. I give gratitude and thanks to the direction beneath our feet, this earth that we're on, the summertime energies in the northern hemisphere have found us outside and enjoying summer, and as Celia mentioned, on vacation. And ultimately, so much of that summer energy is pulling us outside and maybe out from our offices and homes and out onto the trail and into water and into our bodies. And I have so much gratitude for the way that we are called forth and held and provided for by our earth and our mother in ways that we know are there always, just like gravity holding us in by its original instructions, but we don't always maybe give pause and presence to give thanks for. So today in our collective, we give gratitude and thanks to all of those directions beneath our feet. We give gratitude and thanks to the direction above our head, those etheric directions, whether we think of them as the ethers or the cosmos or the heavenly spaces, all are real and true. Each one, as we draw farther into it, brings us into a space where there is no time, there is no construct, but instead we're in a place of full connection, full oneness, and full potential. Extra gratitude and thanks to that direction today, as it is such the beautiful container for this conversation about our limitless potential, our soul purpose, our meaning of being, our way of expressing our life. Deep gratitude and thanks. And then I wish to call in the 4 cardinal directions as well. The east and the inspiration that the light brings. The south and the energy of life force. I'm calling on that life force a little bit extra myself today with some low energy. I'm still coming back from being sick, so I have so much awareness and gratitude for the forces that bring us our life force energy and our wellness and body, mind, and soul. Gratitude to the west, the ancestors, the direction of reflection and gratitude. And of course, also perfectly aligned with today's topic, the north. I think of the north as the direction of the inner call and the drumbeat, the soul purpose. So special nod to the north today as we come together in oneness of mind to talk about the key themes that might help you further align to your soul purpose and fully activate into your own true divine life. So from that place and with a blanket of gratitude in all directions for things spoken and not spoken, maybe something came up for you that you're grateful for, something that may have popped into my mind but that I didn't speak out loud. All of these are included in our oneness of mind. And from there, our hearts and minds are one. I guess as I was closing there, I had an unspoken of just really extending that blanket of gratitude to all of the different ripples and communities I'm feeling the connection into this call, whether it's women in the Mystic Society or women who may have found their way through a registration link, especially also the women in overlap in our entrepreneurial circles and certainly Celia's community as well. So welcome into this basket, and I'm so grateful for all of you being here today. Thanks. Well, Miss Celia, again, it was such a no-brainer for me when we were looking at the Mystic Society calendar and going to be talking about success and your why, that you were the light and energy and vibration of the epitome for me of what it means to not only claim that for yourself, but also help illuminate it in others. So thank you so much for being here. Will you talk a little bit about that success piece and how success fits in with the picture of aligning to our soul purpose?
Yeah. Gosh, well, that's a big subject. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think that you and I throw around alignment all the time. I know it's one of our core values and our favorite words, a word we use deeply in our work. And so it's very special to us. And I think it's a great word because people understand what that means, and so really what we're talking about is trying to line everything up, trying to get really clear on what matters to us, what are our core values, what are our core desired feelings, what kind of lifestyle and business, is our dream life, our dream business, our dream relationships, and what does success look like on our terms in terms of authentic success, is what I like to call it, really, especially as an entrepreneur or as a mom, really, if you think about it, any aspect of your life, there's all these social constructs and status quo about what success looks like. We're trained since we're little that we're supposed to just check all the boxes, go to school, get good grades, be an athlete, be popular, have a boyfriend at this age or whatever, go to college, graduate, get good grades, think about graduate school, choose what we're going to do for graduate school, get the best job we can, get pension and benefits, and just hunker down, get that house, kids, husband, whatever it is. And guess what? You're supposed to be like happy. And that's what we're taught success looks like. And the challenge is that is not really authentic, because a lot of people wake up and they realize that doesn't fit for me. That's not the mold of what fits for me, but I don't know why. I don't know why. I was told that this is what I'm supposed to want. I was told that this is what success looks like. I have all of that. And now I'm successful, but somehow I'm not happy. Somehow I still have this like burning inside, like my life was supposed to be about something more. And clearly God created me for something really magnificent, but this is not it. And so what's really sad is a lot of people, or really depends on how you look at it, it's sad, but then it's really an opportunity for people who are waking up to reimagining and really rediscovering and personalizing what success looks like for them. So, for example, in my business right now, over the last few years, I've built this signature program, the Superfly Soulful Business Program, that has been like a labor of love, and it's totally aligned and it's totally my purpose, but it's had all these ups and downs. And I know we'll talk more about that, but I'm coming off of what is success, like, oh, I did a launch, all these ladies signed up, I made some money, they love the program, hallelujah, like I hit the jackpot, I'm living the dream. And now I'm about to do the launch all over again. And I set up a calendar and everything, and I'm getting ready to go. And I already pre-sold spots into the program. And I'm sitting down and I'm looking at it, and I'm realizing that I'm having resistance come up for me around the calendar. And, through our work together, Lindsay, I know when that resistance comes up, that's in opposition to one of my core values of ease in my business in particular. So when that starts coming up, I'm like, wait a minute, like what's going on here? And I just have to remind myself, you know what, this is my life, my business, my purpose. And if I'm going to do the work that I feel God created me to do, then I have to align myself to what's going to feel really, really great in terms of what success looks like to me. And success looks like really feeling great, really feeling happy, really feeling relaxed and jazzed. And so I had to look at that calendar and just have what I call like the come to Jesus talk, like, look, this calendar does not work. You cannot start the program on the date you already sold the program on. Okay, you need 2 more weeks. And you know what? If people don't want a refund or they don't want to be a part of the program, hey, it's all good. You're going to have to let them go, because I have to be true to myself. And so those are the kind of steps every day, as I'm looking at my to-do list, or as people are asking me to do certain collaborations or promotions or all these different things that come up, whenever you're making a decision in life about what you want to do, if you can go internally and really go back to that definition of success for you and see if it's aligned with that. And if it is, then you move forward. And if it's not, then you reflect on how you can adjust so that you are more in alignment with that authentic success.
Oh yeah, that is so good. And that really important theme of coming to the realization that you don't need to settle for less than what is real and true for your own needs and heart and desire.
Yeah.
You bring up that whole topic in a way that makes me see it almost as a continuum, Celia, and makes me realize that kind of the other thing, you and I have some overlapping, client base. The other thing I see is all the way at the other end of the spectrum. It's that space where maybe we've begun to set aside new boundaries, like you're saying. I'm going to shift this because that's what's right, and I'll just communicate it. And if that doesn't work for someone, that's okay. Yeah. Love and light, and we'll move on. But there's this whole other end of the spectrum too when we're talking about defining success for ourselves, where I see people saying, like, they're bumping up against their own permissions. Like, yeah, maybe that, but that would be too crazy. Or, I'll do it my own way because it couldn't be like that other thing. So it's like there's also this thing of helping women move into the space where they can start to move through their own edges and dream big. How do you see that end of the spectrum?
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. I mean, you and I are girlfriends as well as mastermind buddies, and all of the ladies that we hang out with, we're all on a similar climb in our business and starting to see the rewards of all this hard work. But at the same time, as we start to vision what's possible and how we can expand and how we can even like go like, okay, this feels so amazing. How can I make it even more, even better, even, just more luxurious, more ease, whatever. We all sort of go like, but is that okay? I want that, but and like, I'm working on a remodel of my website. And so I'm like pulling all these pictures for the mood board. And I'm talking with my designer. I'm like, okay, I have like 30, I narrowed it down to like 30 of my favorite pictures from like stock photos. And I'm like, but something really interesting is here. I was like, they're almost all about travel and beaches and like.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I'm like, I know I'm like a soulful business coach, but I don't know if I have enough pictures that actually reflect that I do business coaching. It more so looks like come on a trip with Celia. And I was like, but you know what? I really like that because that is where I'm moving. Other than my programs, I'm moving towards, VIP days and
destination
retreats and stuff like that. And so I had to give myself permission to say, hey, well, that's what I'm attracted to. That's who I want to be attracted to me is women who want those similar experiences. And it's okay if my freaking website looks like a damn travel brochure. When they start reading through it, they'll see, what she's also a kick-ass coach, and I can do all this stuff with my business with her, but initially they'll be drawn to that. Another example is the last year that I did the program. When I first started it with you, it was priced at a certain price point because it was more of like a mentorship, one-on-one mastermind type thing. So it was more high end. Then when I brought it to the masses and it was introductory, we came up with this pricing that we felt really good about and it was lower. And then this time that I'm offering it again, I'm like reflecting on the pricing and I'm just like, you know what? It's just not sitting with me. Like after now I've run it, I know that this is like an amazingly valuable program. I'm not in alignment with that pricing anymore. It just doesn't feel good with my soul. And I have to allow myself to give myself permission to say, this is the price for the program and, do my thing, see who that attracts. And what I always believe in is it's all testing, but if you come from a place of this is what I want, this is what my vision of my life, my business, my success looks like. And I'm going to claim that for myself and not live in fear and not be like, oh, I'm having upper limit blocks. I can't do that. But instead just be like, boom, you know what? I'm here. I'm a leader. I'm going to show other women they could do it too. And I'm going to share with them what happens when I do that, and then next time I operate, it might be some other price combination once I figure out like what feels good to me, what feels good to my audience. But right now I'm leading with what feels good to me and really pushing myself and my audience to say, you have the permission to do what you want to do. You have the permission to create the kind of work that you want to create, to price your business the way you want to work with whoever you want to. Like, you can do it.
I love that. And you're also modeling that they have permission to even take a step back, to make a change where a decision has already been made, to go back to an existing either livelihood or business or team or client base like you're describing and say, guess what? In order to be aligned and resonant, I need to make these changes. And I hope that works for you. So if we think of that as that continuum between over here, we're really trying to be clear that certain things might not be working and we need to make change, to leaning into the dream of where we're headed. The reality is most of us spend our time in the center of that, in an intersection between starting to make changes but not fully having stepped into where we're headed. What are some of your soul practices for staying sane in the now, between that place of, okay, I've seen what is and isn't working from before and I'm starting to get a glimpse of what's coming, but right here is where I am now. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, I like to simplify things, so I think the more we all know the stuff around core values and core desired feelings and all that stuff, and we all sort of like smirk at it like, oh yeah, that's basic. But at the end of the day, it's like almost all the work I get back to is always rooted in that. Is like, do you really know who you are? Do you know what really makes you feel good? Do you know what you really want in your life? And so for me, it helps me when I'm in the interim
Yeah.
keep going back to that. Like when I looked at all those pictures and I was writing down, well, what are the feelings that these pictures from my website portray? It's like freedom and playfulness and travel and, pleasure and all of that. And I'm like, yeah, so far I'm very aligned because that is what matters to me. So in the interim, when I haven't fully manifested the big vision yet, and I'm still sort of in the like putting all the pieces together, I stay focused on what really matters to me and where I'm going and having faith. I mean, like, to me, the faith is where it's at. People call it all kinds of different things, but for me, it's, whether it's believing or, whatever your connection to your spirit or whatever, to me,
trust, faith, belief, yes, all of these, sure.
Whatever it is. But for me, I call it faith. And I look at that as faith in yourself. Mm-hmm. That you have the power, that you have the greatness, that you have the light, that you have a purpose. Like all of that stuff is like, you have to believe that. You really have to get to a place where you can just say, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I know that I'm beautiful and worthy and there is a plan for my life. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to trust that process, right? And then faith in whatever that higher power is to you, to have that conversation, that back and forth in, when you're doing your business stuff. If you're not doing, as we teach, and all of you guys that are listening, I know also teach, is like, you have to have the intersection constantly of those spiritual, soulful self-care practices within your day to remind you of what matters, to remind you of your calling, to remind you of what success looks like to you. So you're not chasing the shiny objects, you're not chasing the carrots in front of you, and you're not freaking out all the time because you realize, I'm in the middle of a process. I haven't even seen it through a whole completion cycle. To have the opportunity to reflect on what was successful there, what wasn't successful there, if I do it again, how am I going to do it, and maybe do it a little bit differently. But people, like focus is such a challenge for people to actually see something through to fruition. They'd rather have 10 open-ended projects that they're just like dabbling in constantly, indefinitely, versus saying, I'm going to pick one or two things. I'm going to spend 3 months on it. I'm going to see it all the way through, see what happens with that, and either grow it, deepen it, expand it, all that good stuff, or say, check that off the list, did that, it's not for me, I'm moving on to the next beautiful thing in front of me.
Oh gosh, it's so huge. As you were talking, I was thinking about how important what you're saying right now is into that how you define success piece, because there's a part of us that wants to think success is external to us, that it's something somebody else has accomplished. And when you kick this off with kind of the beginning definition of success, you're saying that you have to define it for yourself. You have to understand what's real and true for you, what does success look like for you based on how you just want to feel. But there's also this thing of success somehow feels like you're getting a result for the work that you're putting out. And maybe you're not seeing the results that you want to be seeing, or you feel like you put that effort out. But what you're describing is such a common symptom when we go a little bit deeper on the why are we not seeing the results we want. So often I find exactly what you're describing. There's a ton of different things going at once and not completion to a single thing. There isn't maybe a prioritization of what can I lead forward with. And I know that this is a segue into one of your real zones of genius, which is helping people see who you really are and what you're really here to be doing. Maybe not all of these things, maybe not those 12 things combined with somebody else's take on what you're doing. Right. About what are you really called for to do? How do you help people see that thing, that maybe that one prioritized thing that they should be leading forward?
Well, let me just say one thing on what you were just saying also is, I don't care how spiritual, soulful, mystical people are. When you slack off on your practices and your consciousness, that's where you get messed up, And so when you're looking for success and signs of success, they're all around you. And if you're not receiving them, that means you're not on the right path. It's pretty simple. And that's why I say in terms of simplifying things is like, I have an event I'm supposed to host in 2 weeks. I already have sold like 5 tickets and I'm really having so much resistance about it. And I keep going, but it's a great opportunity to get in front of people and tell them about the Superfly program. Maybe I'll enroll people. But then I'm going, but it's just feeling so heavy for me right now, you know? And so if I just pay attention to that and go ahead and say, you know what, I got to figure out the third door or cancel it or whatever, then we got flow again, you know? And I start seeing the signs showing up for me. And one of those signs is listening to my intuition that I don't really want to do the event, you know? But when we're just like ignoring all that stuff that we know are the messages, you know, the affirmation of success comes in your partner coming home saying, you know, I'm so proud of you, or your best friend saying, I'm watching what you're doing and like, I'm so impressed, you know, or that random Facebook message or email that you get from somebody that's like, I watched one of your videos, you know, or this is, you know, it's just like little things. It doesn't always come in money form. And when we look at abundance, and this is a lesson I had to learn, because for a long time I was like, okay, my business is blowing up, but I'm not making any money. What the heck is going on? And I just had to realize like abundance is all different forms of abundance. And if you put so much stress on the financial abundance, you're putting everything out of whack, you know? And so I just wanted to say that point. But in terms of helping people figure out their purpose or narrowing down their purpose, I mean, for me, I feel like we could all do many different things, and we all have many different passions and skills and experiences. And so the way that I coach or mentor is very much about, you know it, you have the wisdom within. So I am never somebody to tell you that one thing, that's what you should do. But I do think that people really have a resistance to like niching down, you know, to like just claiming a lane and spending a year or 18 months in one zone and just saying, okay, I'm going to hang my hat. And I know I was telling you, because I was like, when I first started the Superfly program, there was this resistance of like, but I'm so much more. I don't just want to be like this soulful business mentor. Like I do stuff with women's empowerment, and I do stuff with parenting and blah, 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 and all this stuff. But you know what, now that I've just hung my hat on it, I realize I can integrate it all within what I'm doing, and I can create a really well-recognized brand behind what I know is right now the thing that I'm the most passionate about. And so what I like to, you know, encourage the women that I work with to do is really think about, if you were to make a list of all of the experiences that you've had in your life, all the twists and turns, everything that you've been through, and you start looking at some of the patterns in there in terms of what are the skills and tools that you have that nobody else that you know have, that, you know, come really easy to you, that, you know, you could just be doing endlessly. What are the subject matters that you have all this life experience and wisdom on because you've been through some crap, or, you know, you're on the back end of a divorce, or like whatever it is, that you can, you know, be at a party and be hanging out with one person in the corner talking to them for an hour on this subject because you have so much to say about it, so much wisdom, so much passion and excitement about it. And then, you know, to really start to think about, well, what, with all of that coming together, what type of product, service, business offering can I create that feels easeful, that feels like I feel confident in it, I feel like I have stories and unique perspective, not because you're so wise or so educated or have all these certifications, but because you have all this life experience and you really do have a unique perspective and view on it. And then narrowing down to, okay, well, what is it that I could see myself talking about and working on and helping people with for the next year or 18 months, which people get freaked out about. But if you think about it, that's about how long it takes to really get momentum building and get people to actually know what the hell you do before you start seeing so-called success or results or whatever. And then you can't always throw it out. You know, you can always, you know, take a turn. You can always decide it's not for you. But when people have so many different passion projects or so many different lanes that they want to hold at one time, it's really defeating your ability to have the success. The success, in my experience and working with my clients, comes from deep focus on one main project and really figuring out how you're going to monetize that. You know, what are the ways that people very clearly understand what it is you do, who you serve, what are the benefits that you provide, what are the solutions to their pain points that you provide, and how can they buy it? How can they work with you? And that they can see that on your website. They can, you know, click to buy or click for a consult or click to get your beautifully aligned, authentic, soulful, free content, to get on your list and to cultivate those relationships. And I just feel like magic comes when we just really hunker down and focus on something that we're really excited about. And I've been considering to do a podcast or something like that, right? But I just have to tell myself, okay, that's 2016. Or
Yeah.
you and I have talked about, creating my life coach training school. That's 2016, if I even get that far, And it's okay to have all these things that you're excited about, but to just sort of map out your quarters in the year and say, for this quarter, I'm focusing on this main project. And for this quarter, I'm going to focus on this main project. And, just bump things over to the next year and just keep that running list of the things that you're interested in. So you don't need to feel like you're, shutting those things out or forgetting them or whatever, but not start there. Start on the first thing that you feel is the most strongly about, that you feel like God created you the most strongly for, you have the most wisdom about, and you have the most opportunity to make some money from.
So big. It's so big. We as women can be such innate givers constantly. We can give endlessly of our resources, our time, our love, our light, our expertise. And then when we get into that space of monetizing our gifts, there can be tremendous resistance and blocks. And I see this with women and clients and mystics everywhere in the scale of how much money they're making. I mean, it's because it's all relative and it's all our own journey. So how do you help people, especially at that piece in the process of the monetization of their gifts? Because I see so many stall out right about there. They get their free stuff going. They're hugely in service. And what we're doing then is we're creating an unequal balance at that primary life force energy place in the resonance process, because we're over giving, we're over delivering, we're over connected almost, and we're not creating that opportunity for exchange. What are some of your tips for helping people move through those monetization?
Yeah, well, I think this is, for me, I don't know why it's making you cry, but I feel like it's one of the exciting things that I know, and you were the one of the people that told me this, is like, you are really a kick-ass business coach, and so I feel like my heart is so tied to the soulful side of things that to really just hang my hat on the business side, sometimes I don't, I do that a disservice because I sort of poo-poo it of like, but it's all about the soul, it's all about the purpose. But that's why the intersection of the two and creating my signature program about soulful business has been so just huge, because the concept resonates so deeply. That's what people want. And all of this getting to is that the people that we are that are watching this, as well as in our communities that are our potential clients, are soulful, spiritual, heart-centered, service-minded people that want to change the world, want to help people, want to make big impact, want to save the planet, love Mother Earth, all that kind of stuff. And so we come so much with these big open hearts, and then a lot of us, have either from past life poverty vows or this life poverty vows, or grew up with parents that gave us all kinds of whacked, money, thoughts and stuff and programs. And so we're all doing our okay, I'm working on my upper limit blocks, I'm doing my money manifestations and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, there are real business strategies that are sort of tried and true that I have to tell my sisters they got to do. And so when they're not making the money, to me, it's usually not because they're not great at what they're doing. It's not because they're not aligned to their purpose. It's because they're having some sort of block of really putting the business pieces together, like doing effective marketing campaigns, going, oh no, Facebook ads are, I'm not into Facebook ads, or I don't want to pay for views, or I don't want to pay for likes or conversions or whatever. I don't want to set up email funnels and actually sell to people. And so, what I teach in my program and to my clients is there is sort of a process. If you get somebody, first of all, you want to drive traffic to you in the first place. So you have to do that by upping your visibility. You have to be okay to be seen and know that that's a beautiful thing. You're sharing your light in the world. It's not you being vain or, whatever, too cocky or whatever. So you have to start thinking about what is that content that you can create in the first place that people actually start to know who the heck you are. So in my example, like I did this video series, interviewing all these people, talking about soulful business and alignment and failures and all that stuff. So I have a series of that's going on right now of these, they're like hour-long videos, and I did one with you, but I'm able to pump that out once a week to my list. I'm able to put that on my Facebook page and all the various places. So people, at least, even if they're not watching it, they're saying, oh, Celia's up to something. Oh, wait, how to create, launch, and grow a soulful business. Okay, at least now they're starting to sort of associate me with something. And then when they click on it, it drives them to my website. And when they go to my website, there's a little pop-up that says, hey, you want to get the free thing or want to get on my list? So now they're on my list, not all of them, but they get on my list, and so from there we have a nurture sequence, which is a certain number of emails, and it varies from people, everybody does it differently, but let's say you have at least 3 or 4 emails where you're then providing more value, that when they first opt in, they're getting something that's really amazing from you. So if you have a signature service or a signature product or a program, you do palm reading, or you do past life regression, or you do, how to set up your office, or, whatever it is, you should have that kick-ass, like I'm working on a brand new one right now, which I'm super excited about because it's about to come out in the next week, but I don't even know the right title, but it's like the Soulful Online Business Guide, right? And so it's like how to set up your business A to Z online. And I'm like, this is like 30 pages, and I'm talking with my coach and my mentor, like, is it too much? Are people going to like be like, why is there so much information? And she's like, no, this should be something that people are going to pay for, that would pay for, right? Yeah. So when they actually get it, they feel like it's so valuable. And so people are always hesitant to like give too much of their content away or something like that. But the reality is when they ultimately pay, they're paying for you. It's not so much that the content needs to be new. It's that they're paying for the connection with you. They're paying for you to be their mentor, for you to be their guide. So go ahead and give them a bunch of your best content so they can see, holy crap, one email and I got a 30-page guide, and I can basically go and do all of this stuff on my own, which they're not going to probably do. But they now have that memory of Celia's the bomb, and this free thing was so good. And then you start sending them just emails where initially it's about the know, like, and trust factor. So you just want them to know, who are you? Like, what do you do? What do you like? What's your family like? Whatever, plus some other little free bonuses where here's some great, my top 3 most popular blogs, and all of this you want to be aligned with what you're ultimately going to try and sell them. And so you don't want to just be giving them all these random pieces of content. You want to, that's why when you actually figure out what your niche is or what for right now you're going to concentrate on, you create all of these pieces of content to be aligned. So it's free, great emails that are free and aligned. And then if you have a very small product that you can just sell without them even having to get on a consult or have any contact with you, you can, like within a week or 2, offer them to buy something for $20 or $79 or whatever it is. And you continue to cultivate that relationship, and ultimately you ask them to get on a webinar, get on a consult with you, and you tell them about your program, and you're excited about it because it's awesome and it's valuable, and you don't feel spammy or salesy telling them about it because you believe in it, and it's soul aligned, and you're great at it, and you're going to change their life. That's how it works.
I just love it. And I love that you really are the embodiment of so many new paradigm concepts and practices. I mean, just the language you use around your list alone, nurture and cultivate, and the word relationship. That's what creates the vibrational difference between feeling like you're being sold to versus you're part of something or you're connected to someone. And you do that so beautifully. You really do. Yeah. So you touched on something I want to get to before we move into the why, which is the timing piece. Because I know that there is this weariness that people can experience when they feel like they've been doing this for a little while, or they're not really necessarily seeing the success that they thought they would see. And yet, like you said, my experience is that people tend to do the shiny object thing or abandon what they've created. One launch and they only get 5 people and they think that's it. It wasn't an overnight success. I have to do something different. You mentioned a year to 18 months. Tell us a little bit about that timing piece and how you help people do the lasting until that starts to gain momentum and traction.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, the cream rises to the top, and so entrepreneurialism is not for the faint of heart. It's not for everybody. And I think that's one thing that I am really adamant and passionate about, is being transparent about the experience. I feel for most people, if you don't have 3 years to not be making that much money, don't get into starting a business. I'm serious. Don't leave your day job unless you start making, at least 75% of what you're making at your day job. Like you can start your business and still be working a day job, and shift your perspective on your day job as a blessing. There's nothing wrong with going back and getting a 9-to-5 or getting a bridge job so that you can continue to live your dream and to serve people doing what you feel really passionate about. I think ultimately you have to look at the fact of, like, in the Superfly program, we begin with, what is your purpose? What is your calling? Who are you meant to serve? All that stuff. And there's a lot of people who feel like, I already did all that work. Why am I doing this again? And I'm like, we are going to do it again. Because you need to go back to the basics. And I go back to the basics. I continually refine of, like, am I clear on who my soul client is? Is she a beginner? Is she intermediate? Is she advanced? Is she an influencer? Does she have a lot of money or not a lot of money? Is she working a 9-to-5 or not working a 9-to-5? Is she spiritual or not spiritual? Is she a mom? Is she not a mom? These are all the things that I'm constantly refining myself. And so I feel like sometimes when you're in that interim and things aren't quite coming together, there's a lot of pieces that you have to go back to. And sometimes it's going back to the basics of, because I know a lot of people feel very confident in their work and they feel like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. If I'm not making money, it's because some other problem, but it's not because this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. But I really do think sometimes, like, are you sure that this is what you're supposed to be doing? And I'm not sure how many of the people listening know about your ACAR method, but to me, it's really, it's special. I talk about it all the time, so it's like, you have to look at that and really figure out, is it what you're creating? Are you having, that resonance with your audience? And if not, so look at it, what you're putting out, are you getting a lot of affirmation? Are you getting a lot of likes? Are you getting a lot of comments? Are people replying to your emails? Are people clicking on anything that you're creating? If not, what you're so passionate about, maybe they're not, maybe there is not a deep need for them in that. Or if there is a deep need, if you're really clear there is a deep need, maybe you're not communicating it to them in their language, in, the way that they need to hear it. And so that's sometimes where we need to go back and tweak too. Is our copy right? Are our images right? Are we really clear? Not so much about, how we want to portray ourselves or what we want to do versus what I call our soul client. So the soul client, the woman or man or person that you're dying to work with, that you feel so aligned to work with, are you really thinking about what their deepest pain is, their deepest need, their deepest desire when they're sitting up at night freaking out because they need help in their life? Have you really created a solution to that and nailed it for them? Because we all know, whether it's going through a divorce, a bankruptcy, trying to make money in our business, we will shovel over money that we don't have. We will find it. We will borrow from Peter to pay Paul, to invest, to have that solution. So if we can really hit that pain point, and not to take advantage of somebody, but to understand, hey, I really want to work with women who are overcoming, alcohol abuse, but what is it that they really, really need right now that I can provide for them, that I'm uniquely qualified to, that somehow then I can create the copy and the marketing around that just sings from the mountaintops, I'm your person. And so, and so in terms of getting through those rough times, if you keep your eyes open for the affirmation, if you pay attention to, I am getting, momentum here. Maybe it's not yet in dollars, but there, all the other ways there is, then I say keep going. But if you're not getting all of that other momentum aspects, then something's off. There's a piece of the puzzle that's not quite right. And that's why you have to go back and do the work and start, sometimes we do this exercise of like, right now, what are the ways you can make money right now? And so like, I know a few times ago when I was doing a launch, I was like, I need some money right now for my Facebook ads. And I was like, okay, 99, 199, 299, just throwing things out there. You want to work with me? You want a session? You want a quote? You want whatever, just to generate up some business. And so we also have to not be like, I only do this one or two services and that's all that I do. That's the only way that people can, buy things from me, instead of thinking, well, maybe I need to do something local in person. Maybe I need to start a local group. Maybe I need to start a networking chapter, of other woo entrepreneurs or whatever. There's all these things. You just got to think outside the box.
You touch on something so huge. Money, like any other form of energy, wants to flow where there's already flow, where there's already an open circuit. You shut that circuit breaker and it's hard to get the energy to flow through there. And so what you're describing is something that I think is so important, which is if any type of energy in your life force energy, your resonance is not flowing, but especially if the money is not flowing, open up that circuit breaker in whatever way you can, because just getting it going again is going to start to clear that pathway for it all to start flowing through. I'm so glad you touched on that. You have touched really beautifully on the what of what we're doing, the who's it for, and a big piece of this call is a piece that you are also so gifted at, which is the why. And when you talk about iteratively returning to who are you and how do you want to feel, I know you are also really passionate about circling back to why are you doing this in the first place and how is it connected to your soul journey. Do you think you could share with us your thinking around that values piece? And maybe we're kind of doing this flip-flop from most ones, but maybe you could tie it into your personal journey and story, because we haven't really shared with people what brought you to this place right now. And you have been fiercely protective of your values and your commitment to the everyday woman in every incarnation of your business, and you continue to be so. And I am so inspired by that, but also feel so blessed to be a part of that circle. I'd love to share that with everybody here on the call and listening later.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a firm believer in your life is, for a reason, that, everything that you've been through has a purpose in it, that there's lessons in every experience, every failure. If you can actually sort of shift it and look at it as a blessing and say, like I say all the time, okay, God, like, what are you trying to teach me? I get it. Like, I'm supposed to be learning something here. Like, let me wake up and stop being like, woe is me. And so, yeah, my journey is, really interesting. My parents are full-time civil rights organizers. I grew up with going to like labor demonstrations and, equal rights, human rights demonstrations and rallies and community meetings. And so I was surrounded by a predominantly Black, Latino, and Asian community my whole life growing up, really communal community, where it was like everybody was working class, and also they all had children. And so we did all of the food together, all of the meetings together, everybody's house, all that stuff. And so service and giving back and helping people and diversity, are really core values of mine. In terms of the money conversation, it's been certainly something that I've had to like wrap my mind around about like, okay, what are the stories that have been imprinted on me from my upbringing about wealth, about, people who have money and what myself making money would mean to other people. But all in all, I would say my upbringing was really special and unique. And so I went on my journey, and all of the skills that I do now, I didn't realize what they were going to all add up to, but I was always a leader. I was always, when I was 13, I did a walkout, anti-war demonstration walkout that I led. And got all of the press to come, and I had meetings with the principals and the community leaders myself, organizing this. And I'm on the, whatever the big amplify phone thing is, I have all these pictures. It's so funny of all these like teenagers in my junior high, busting out of the gates and all of them standing there listening to us. All this to be said, I never had a problem standing in front of an audience. When I was in high school, I started, and there was some race issues going on between Latino and Blacks. And so I created a group called Alliance. And I went to each classroom and I would talk to the students and say, we're having, the Alliance meeting at lunch today. Come and be a part of, kids that want to make a difference in the world and want to unite the, all of the races, and we can talk through our issues. And when I went to college, that is, again, what I studied was intergroup conflict and prejudice. And so always social, political issues have been something that I'm really aware of. It's my own privilege as, a middle-class woman, as a white woman, as an educated woman, as an American, as a heterosexual, all of those things are something that I have been trained to have that awareness of. And so I also see that I whether I like it or not, I've been crowned as a leader within my community to at least, voice that vision and let other people have that, again, that sort of igniting, opening of consciousness of like, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even realize my privilege, or I didn't even realize what's going on in other people's lives. And then when I was 20, I graduated from UCLA. I went really quickly and got a 9-to-5, did the safe city job because I was scared to death about money. And I did not know what my purpose and calling was supposed to be. I met my husband at the same exact time when I was 20. We've been together 18 years now.
Woo!
Yeah. And he was an entrepreneur already. He's 34 and I was 20. And so he had grown up, he's African American, and so he had grown up very poor in a single family home, had already had a whole life, been married, had kids, gone, lived in his car because he lost his job, as an adult. And so he had like a whole different perspective on life. He had this entrepreneurial flair. We got into, while we both had city jobs, we got into building a real estate business. And just because I was so freaked out about money and I just didn't know how to manage business and all that stuff, we had so much conflict around our business. It grew, whether we liked it or not, to like a $5 million business. And it wasn't until the real estate crash that, everything came tumbling down and, we were facing bankruptcy and foreclosure. And really that was 13 years after I had, started my job. I was having like a total full circle moment of like, okay, now what? Like, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? I'm so scared. I feel so alone. My husband had also had a career-ending injury at the same time. And so he was super depressed, and, my parents had raised me atheist. And so I had no connection with God or spirit or Mother Earth or Jesus or anybody. And I was like, but this thing called faith, it seems like it helps you. I need some help. And so through a journey of my own, it wasn't overnight, I did all of the reading and studying and practicing and figuring out what makes sense to me and really creating my own version of my own spirituality. Just like the light bulb went on and I started to put all the pieces together, and life really, I realized, what, I'm going to be fine. No matter what, I'm going to be fine. I am a beautiful being and I have a purpose and I have this beautiful light in me, and no matter what, I'm not going to fall. I'm going to be okay. I can pick myself up again. And that led me down the journey of considering counseling. But then I took a turn because I had already gone to law school for 4 years at night and not been a lawyer. And I was like, I'm not going to do that again as a counselor. So I became a coach, and I worked at my 9-to-5 for a year or so. And eventually when I started making some money and my husband said I could leave, that was it. And so the rest is history. I've been going full time for about 4 years now in my business. And I'd say the first 2 years were really like discovery, exploration. Everything was fun and exciting and I wanted to do a little of everything. And the last 2 years is where I really hunkered down and said, soul care, soul purpose, soul business. That's where I want to, hang my hat. And the universe has been supporting me ever since.
Oh, I love your story. Thank you so much for sharing. I feel like we could talk for another hour. But I just was noticing something as you were talking, and I want to call it out to everybody listening and watching. So we've been talking a lot about energetics and how they fit into our purpose and path and magic and money and all of that. And I want them to maybe reflect on when you were talking, Celia, like the first half of our call where we were talking about success and vision and alignment, all these things, your energy was so high and etheric and third eye and huge heart opening, like just so like you just want to climb into a hug with you. And as you start to talk about your story and your why, it's like all the lower chakras come into alignment too, and especially that solar plexus energy, like your voice and your power and your strength as a feminine leader, so much comes forward when you're expressing your why. And I think that that was just a beautiful modeling for all of us of why it is so important that that value piece, that who you are and what you believe in, that why piece comes forward in some way in your business, because it does bring those two together. It brings that kind of high vibrational popcorn energy fully rooted into the earth of, well, why are we doing it in the first place? Who are we here to serve? And how ultimately are we going to make the planet a better place for all of humanity in the doing? So I just could see that so clearly as you were talking, and I'm so grateful for your willingness to share that story and to model it for us, but also the way that your Superfly community is really laying the groundwork for women all over the world in all kinds of situations to start claiming that integration of divine source, brilliant intellect, voice, heart, passion, solar plexus, and beyond. So I want to thank you so much.
I'm so happy to be here. You know, I love you. I love all your people. So I'm anytime.
Is there anything that you want to share in parting, like a last one thing, if someone were feeling like they were really trying to align or connect themselves to their soul purpose?
Yeah, I mean, it's what I always say, but it's that just to know that you don't have to do anything, be anything, or have anything to be 100% perfect as you are right now. You know, to just accept where you're at on your journey and to embrace it. You know, this moment is all we have. This moment together right now, this second is our most special moment. And I'm so honored to be here with you. But just know that you don't have to achieve anything. You know, you don't have to be anything, do anything, have anything. You know, you're really 100% perfect where you're at, and just continue to believe that and have faith in yourself and have faith in your purpose. And if you don't have the clarity of the purpose, you have to realize you're at that stage in your journey where you're still in an exploration process. And that is so beautiful and fun and is a whole thing in itself. And the more that you can embrace that and just accept that, instead of, you know, just pining away and longing so much to have already like arrived and have figured it out, you know, to go, hey, maybe there is something so exciting and special waiting for me on the other side, that if I just allow myself to open up to that, this dream life and this dream business that I desire so deeply to have is going to manifest. And just to remember that, like, I'm totally accessible. You know, I think almost everybody I'm friends with, but, you know, send me a friend request, send me an email, send me a Facebook chat. It's something I pride myself on, is, you know, just being really accessible and supporting people. You know, I believe that's what we're here for. So definitely reach out to me.
And they can join your Facebook community if they're not already there and not doing Superfly Mastermind. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I can follow up with all the links and stuff, but the Superfly Society is my free Facebook group. My website is my name, CeliaWardWallace.com. The Superfly program is opening up again in September, and so we have a wait list right now. If you want to get on it, it's at the superflyprogram.com. And both of those will have brand new websites, hopefully in the next 30 days. So I'll have something really fun to unveil to all of you guys.
Oh, well, that's so exciting. Thank you for sharing your light with us here today, Celia.
Yay. I love you too.
Well, I think I will go ahead and separate our hearts and minds now so that we can go ahead and continue about our day. I want to invite you, anything that you might have set down so that you could be fully present here, take the opportunity now to look at what you might have, you know, maybe you shut your phone down, or maybe you set, you know, some things that were preoccupying your brain aside earlier this morning. You can revisit those and pick those back up now, but I also want to invite you to pick them up in a new way and to maybe see how things have shifted for you over the last hour. Maybe take some time to integrate with your journal or talking with a girlfriend, or taking a walk to see what pieces of this conversation resonate most for you. And in so doing, although I'm going to separate our heart and minds now, allow yourself to kind of bask in the ripples and the energies of the guides that we called in today, and see what's there for you specifically as you continue to move forward and claim more of your divine life and purpose. So from this place, I separate our hearts and minds, releasing the energies that we called in with deep gratitude, setting us each forward on our own path to continue to walk our own walk and laugh our own laugh and dream our own dreams, knowing that we can tap back into this basket of sisterhood and life at any time that we feel like. Now our hearts and minds are separated. Thank you again so much, sweet sister friend.
So happy to see you guys. Lots of love to you all. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for bringing the life force energy.
Yes, I brought it.
Woo. Bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks so much. We'll have the recording up in the society soon.